Okay, I call the meeting to order for June 30th, 2025, special select board meeting. Adopt the agenda. Any changes to the agenda?
We would like to amend it to have an executive session to discuss legal matters with the town attorney. I would recommend we do that as item number 3. Before executive session regarding employees.
Okay.
Is that right?
Do I have a motion to, change the agenda to add legal matters number 3? All in favor?
Also moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of that, change? Aye. John? Aye. Motion's passed. Okay, legal matters, number 3.
I will have a motion to enter.
Motion to enter executive session, 1 VSA. For legal matters.
So moved.
Second, anybody? Awesome. Steve seconds, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
So, motion to exit.
Okay, I need a motion to exit executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Other business?
No, we'll go into,
No, sorry.
Motion to re-enter.
back, we need a motion to,
Well, motion to hire Di Bernardo to do a survey of the town hall property.
a second to that motion?
Second.
Do you want a motion to get the survey from ORAS?
Yeah, that would be great.
Do you want it included with this one too?
Sure. Let's make it separate.
Yeah. All in favor of the motion to have a survey done of the property town hall? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to do the survey for Molrath property.
So moved.
Very good, this is, it's already been done.
Right.
It's
So
already
just get a copy of
Get
it,
a copy of that survey,
and we'll meet with,
and we'll meet with the attorney. Do you wanna meet with the attorney? With Morris? And John? We'll schedule a meeting with the Morris over the property. Do I have a motion?
so Anna made that motion, I just need a second.
I'll second it. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye, it's passed. Motion's passed.
Okay, now we'll enter another executive session to discuss the evaluation of employees.
Before that, with the first primary plan, are we gonna do anything with that
The plan for
for the walkway?
no, we'll just start with getting. the
Okay.
survey.
I lost my train of thought. What?
No, that's okay, motion to enter an executive session to talk about first.
Okay. Need a motion to enter into executive session, 1 VSA 313 for evaluations of employees.
So moved.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Motion passed. Ready?
Yep, go ahead.
Alright, for employee evaluation of employees, the increases, each employee on the highway. And including our administrator would get the 3% COLA. And the following increases in hourly wage increase. David would increase by 75 cents an hour. Lane, 75 cents, and Morgan, $1.10. Which puts us, close to being on budget, is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. It puts us actually within the budget,
Within the budget.
combining the surplus with, yes, puts us within the budget, with the extra. Does that make sense? Though we put the total 18,37 plus the, the extra from your budget, the 1,200, so we put a, there's more like a $3,000 surplus. So the COLA and the raises fit within that, we did not go over budget.
Okay, can I just repeat it to make sure I'm clear? So each employee, including all highway employees as well as myself, the town administrator, will get a 3% COLA.
Right.
And then in addition to that, David Rogers will increase by 75 cents.
Mhm.
Lane Stevens by 75 cents, and myself by $1.10.
Yeah.
That will need to be put into a motion by somebody, so are you making that motion?
I make the motion.
Second,
All in favor of the motion,
Aye.
increase,
So-
3% all employees. And then the increases, hourly rate for David at 75%, Lane at 75%, Morgan at $1.10.
not percent,
Cents.
75 cents.
All in favor,
Aye.
okay, motion passed.
Okay. Other business.
You
Is,
have anything on that slide out there?
Yeah, that's all I was gonna talk about. Colby said the slide is a lot worse than he expected it to be when he called me last. I think he's looking probably for somebody from the board to go out and take a look at
Where
it.
is this?
It's right across from the Taylor Bridge on 121,
Mhm.
across from the alpaca farm.
So is it where the retaining wall is on that?
Yeah.
So it's on which side of it?
It's on, not the riverside.
The west side?
Okay.
it's on the roadside?
Yeah,
Oh, where they got it for, okay.
there were some trees that slid down, and so they were taking care of those, and in the meantime, he seemed to, everything else keeps sliding down, so.
So is it an active slide right now? I mean, it can't, I mean, it's so dry right now.
I don't know if it's actively sliding, but they've stopped working
The
with it.
ground is so soaked with water, that's what happens out there.
Right. I know, I just was asking as of right now,
It's
when did
not.
this slide happen?
Oh, a few weeks ago now, I think the trees have.
Oh, I didn't know
And
about
then
it.
you got no water, you got rain, you kept sliding. I didn't really notice it when I came down through
I didn't.
yesterday. That.
I have not been, I
I guess I didn't notice it. Yeah, that's it.
Look at it.
Okay, thank you.
So what have they done to
What-
repair anything? Did it just take some of the dirt away or?
They've taken some of the brush that's
Yeah.
immediately fallen, and then I think they've taken some of the dirt away.
Well, if there's a retaining, there was a lot
There
of it.
is, I don't know if this is past the retaining wall,
I don't-
no.
Did he specifically say what his concerns were, that they can't do it anymore, or he's concerned that?
Well, one of the concerns is that it, the slide is starting on private property,
Yeah, what's up above?
so it's
Town line.
outside of the town right of way. So I think a concern is how do we manage that?
Wait till it comes down to our property.
Is that
Yeah,
Well, it is coming down
It
to
is.
that property.
Yeah, well, it's something like that, that's what I wish he would not be so concerned about. This is something you have to take care of,
Right.
and you can't say, well, it's on somebody else's property, I'm not gonna do nothing with it. Take care of it, get it
Oh,
done,
right away.
get it done. Once it's out of the right way, a little bit of what?
Yeah, it's gonna slide down.
It's gonna impact the town, the town needs to fix it.
Do it, fix it.
So he's concerned because he's concerned, worried that he shouldn't go on someone's property to do it, or that
You
he's.
can, it's a thing.
Yeah, you
I
can't.
know, so I'm like, I'm just confused. It just-
I don't know.
I don't even know how you fix it.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know specifically, he had just called and said, there's a landslide. Here.
Or can't you drop, heavy stone up in there? That's what they had
No.
before, and they put that, chicken wire.
Right.
He had talked about doing like that riprap stuff
Yeah.
up there, but I don't know if that plan has changed since this morning.
I guess it's.
Why don't we can look at it, see for ourselves.
I get some work out for you.
All right, the board will take a look and come back with a recommendation.
Okay. That was the only thing that I wanted to know.
Really other business like, on the, I'm gonna write up there's 4 amendments we have to implant into our personnel policy. I'm gonna put them on paper and have them for the next,
We already agreed to that.
agenda. I think we agreed on 3 of them. One we were still working on. The one that the Sullivan Towers wanted us to include, and Buzz and I had some information, which I'll write up, which is kind of the newest one. Kind of firmed it up more.
Was that regarding like taking leave or the sick and vacation time?
Yeah. Yes, earned versus,
Oh, right.
comp time, so we did a little research and came up with something from Townsend, what they use, I believe it was Townsend. So if I write that all up, then the next meeting, we could either make a motion to approve it. Or at least have a discussion and hopefully a motion to put them in. Is there any other things on the personnel committee that need to be implemented in personnel policy?
Not in terms of policy, though we probably should discuss further implementing that. The recording of hours and stuff like that and where we are, that's different than personnel policy. Just the whole chart and the whole automated system.
Oh.
We have the,
Kobe
for the hours, for their hours, their work
Oh, yeah.
hours. Right, it's different than personnel policy,
Yeah,
but it's a
no.
personnel issue.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but.
I mean, they were completely agreeable to using it.
Yeah.
They, at the time.
and are they gonna be using it?
I asked them.
But they said they didn't wanna use it on the single, let me finish my sentence, the single iPad. And they thought the only way it would make any sense and not hold them up at the end of the day is if they had the ability to do it during the day in their trucks. When they added, that's what they said to me. They may have said something else after.
Well, I asked them 2 different times and they had not for that one item.
Well, they were nice
And I
to
said,
me.
well, why did you say that to somebody that you were? You know, they didn't have no answer, but I have a little concern with it is, I'd rather pay them to work on the road than to be working on a computer and stuff like that.
It's not-
Because I know you're good at the computer and all.
No, it's not a computer.
Or whatever it is, but enter it, they may work at 10 different places during the course of the day. They've got to stop each time and record that, or.
That was their idea. That was Dave's idea.
Well, whatever it is or not, I mean, I'm just telling you, what I think about it, it just is adding more time, and now they get done at 1 o'clock now they're gonna get into noon to do all this extra stuff. I mean,
I think there's a misunderstanding there. When I went there, they were all sitting around doing their time sheets. And they said, well, we could charge up the iPad, I guess we should have it charged up since we have an iPad. So then they charged up the iPad, and they said, yeah, you'd be very simple, you just put one, I showed them the drop down menus, blah, blah, blah. And then they all said that would be fine, but Nathaniel was sitting there talking to us at the time, he had his notepad in front of him, and he was recording his hours right there. And if he had his own thing to record his hours on, and it's not working on the computer, it's if it was on an iPad, you just select the roads you went on and hit 4 hours and it all adds up and you walk away. And then at the end, you just hit send and it lands in her office. It's less time, and that's what Dave said,
Shouldn't take a lot of time.
it should take exactly the same amount of time. And so then Dave said, well, what the point really should be is if you have the thing in the car, well, in the truck, if they have the thing in the truck, they should therefore have their notepads in the truck as well, if that's his theory. He said, you, in theory, would say, I just did town road, boom, 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 just spent 4 hours, I'm done, now I'm gonna fill in the rest after my next project. That's what he said.
I know.
And then I said, okay, the question is that they felt there wasn't enough usable technology. So that when they got back in the afternoon, Nathaniel goes, I don't wanna wait in line to use the single iPad. So they're sitting there and it was 1:45. It wasn't 1 o'clock and they were recording it. And I think they probably, if they had it on an iPad, they could record it at 1:45 and be done at 2 just the same.
You would.
No, on an iPad, no, you can cellular connection.
They have Wi-Fi.
It's not a Wi-Fi, you have a cellular connection, just like in your, just like your cell phone. Yeah, they won't have cell service everywhere, so maybe it's a terrible idea, I don't know. I'm not a proponent of the idea, however, they didn't sit there and say they were gonna take it.
do it on pad of paper and then bring it back to the office and wait in line.
Back and.
Well, that doesn't make any sense, that's doing 2 things, you don't wanna bother to do 2 things.
No,
Where the genesis of this, what is the genesis of this project was that it would be quicker on equipment usage and on material usage and all that stuff would be recorded, and at the end of the day, it would come into categories to you and to Kim and to everybody, and it would be in categories for budgets and expenses and all of that
It's
stuff.
also accountability where materials are
Yeah.
going and run or
I
cost.
mean, it's, yeah, exactly, so that was, I think, the point of it,
So
and
if they,
I don't know,
if
is
they
that
have,
something you put on the town list?
Sorry, go ahead.
no, if they have it on a sheet,
Yeah, it would be
like
internal,
in
it
a
wouldn't be on the.
a
town.
clipboard, they check it off. They give those to Colby enters them into the thing.
could do that.
That is an option, they could keep doing the handwritten ones, and then somebody at the end of the week or at the end of the day would.
Right now, you're doing that.
Typically, yes, I hadn't been doing it because the spreadsheet hadn't been updated.
So when they get their timesheets, the timesheets come in
Mhm.
and they're used for their hours, they're not used for materials. He has a whole different setup to figure materials. This way, in theory, that work is done.
It does add, initially, it does add some administrative duties for sure, there's gonna be a learning curve. Hypothetically, it shouldn't take them any longer, I guess.
But it's passes what somebody else is doing onto somebody else,
Yes.
that's what it does, so you know.
Yeah, it's like,
Well, it's them recording hours just digitally as opposed to with a pencil. I mean, that's what I think of it, and recording usage of equipment.
Mhm.
Which theoretically, they should be doing that anyway, if
And
they
that-
just use 2 yards of crushed stone, they're gonna tell somebody they used 2 yards of crushed stone, right? In
I
theory,
guess I'd like to see Colby doing, that's his job, he's the foreman, he needs to know where his people are, what they're doing.
then they should do it.
I know you do it, and I know why you do it, cause you're organized and you have that information, it's, I don't know how much time you have to put in on that,
Is that in Joe Colby's job?
versus Colby doing it.
The only other reason I hadn't been doing it recently is because the information is not being written on their timesheets, and I think they all are very aware of that. That they don't write how many yards of materials they use and, you know, sometimes what equipment they use, but I think now that you've met with them, I'm sure they're gonna be adding this stuff in.
Well, maybe not,
Probably.
I don't know, I mean, not that we're even automated, but I don't even know, is there a line item on their handwritten thing to add equipment? I mean, this thing had every road they would have been down, and
Mhm.
is that important, is that wasteful, do they need to know town road number 1, 2, 3, or town highway, is that a critical piece of information? Maybe that's too cumbersome,
If it's damaging.
if it's damaged, but if they're grading, for example. If you're grading, you need to, well, in theory, if you click off what you did, then Colby knows that's all done and you can now go to a different program. I don't know.
Who's coding the time pass?
Colby reviews the other 3, he initials them at the end of the week. Other than that, it's the board to review them in the.
That's what we look at in the payroll.
You
No, but who's coding I shouldn't say the time pass,
The
the
material.
bills.
That's,
Colby. Colby in conjunction with Kim.
So I thought,
Yeah.
why does he have to go to Kim?
Well, Kim has all of the account numbers.
Why can't he have the account numbers?
I believe that's a personnel conversation, not for a public meeting. I don't wanna get in the middle of it, but. The account numbers are 10 numbers long and they're all very, very different. He writes on each bill exactly what account name it should go under,
Okay,
and then she writes the account number. He initials all the bills that go through the highway department.
so can't he give her the staff and then he leaves, or does he stay with her? Cause that's time that he should be doing something else.
Yep, so if we get a bill in the mail, he comes in Monday, the day that they process all of the bills, and he goes through each one. And then she will then write the account number on them. When he goes through them and passes them to Kim, he then leaves for the day, and if she has a question, she'll call him.
So it doesn't take.
It
seems
doesn't
reasonable.
consume more than
Yeah.
30 minutes of his time, probably.
So. What you've put down, is it up and running now that they can use this? So should we try it for a month and see how it goes, or reevaluate?
I would be fine with that, it goes back to logistically.
Yeah, but they have a desktop and an iPad, and when I went out there Thursday, whenever it was, a week ago. It was, the iPad wasn't charged and ready, so they couldn't do it then. I mean, I was gonna show them on whatever they had. So I ended up showing them on my computer, my laptop, but it doesn't, it can, in theory, you can do it on your phone. I mean, in theory, you can open a spreadsheet and you could share it, and one could do it on their phone. But they said they don't have town phones, so they're not gonna do it on their phone.
Yeah, go, we're done.
Right, so that's a quick
So,
use, and
Dave used, he used Kobe's phone
he doesn't, oh, when he did his.
For what?
For what,
when
Governor?
Kobe was not working.
Oh, he probably used a laptop or,
His personal phone to make a phone call to like.
yes. He did have to use his personal phone. And that's a different issue altogether.
Yeah. He's
does
doing
that
fine.
show what time that they are putting it in?
I'm sure it could be tracked at some.
I think it should be tracked, because I'm afraid you're gonna see a lot of time put in towards that.
Well,
I
Yeah, you-
put in
for it shouldn't be. but-
I-
I mean, do they write on their time card 15 minutes for writing on my, making up my time sheet? You know what I'm saying?
When they go to report it,
That's what I meant. Do they do that now? Do they report it? Or I think they put in 8 hours plowing.
no, but when they go to put it into the iPad. I like to see the time that they entered that, and then when they're done.
Oh, I see. What time of
That's what I
day?
sent
what
you.
they do it.
My suggestions
I'm sure.
on,
It would.
on your thing, I said they need to. Time on, time off, maintenance of vehicle materials. I added some things, and then after I did it, I says, oh, I guess I'm micromanaging, but
I think you can collect a lot of that data from this timesheet thing.
Well, that's the thing.
That's
And
what
it's
I
easily
feel.
collected and it sums it up and it.
But to answer your question, we would be able to see like what time the sheet was last edited.
You would, you always.
And I can just imagine, they come in from work, whatever time it may be. So all four of them go up to the iPad and then they take turns.
Well, that was their concern.
Lined up on that.
That was their concern, which I completely understood.
Yeah.
I get that. It is a concern. And that's where it would be, then how would we overcome that?
Yeah.
They were saying, well, there's two people on one iPad, two people, they have a computer out there too. It's not like
Yeah.
there are other options. So then you're down to two people on one thing. I don't know. And that's when Dave said, well, theoretically, if we all have them,
Well, you want to do it this truck, right?
he said, I would do it during the day.
Well, yeah, but after you get done with that.
Yeah, that's what he said. To me, anyway, so
didn't we give Danny an iPad, do all that stuff?
that's what that iPad is, that's
I
that.
don't think they've been using it.
They haven't used it, No, it wasn't even charged, it's a dust.
I mean,
Yeah.
and if they're asking for 4 iPads, forget it, I mean.
Well, so, but they're saying,
Might not
I hear what they're saying, cause now they just write on their own sheet and pass it in. And maybe they do take less time, but we also get less information. So it depends on how important that information is.
Right.
How much value.
I'm happy to have a conversation with Colby and.
But they also, that it wouldn't bother them to do it, they just didn't see how to do it with the equipment, that it made sense with the equipment they had at the time. That they only have a PC, a desktop, and they only have, or it's a laptop, and they only have one iPad. So that would seem silly, but and that's what I reported out, so.
Okay.
So with the information he's been using, is he still gonna give the board during board meetings a
It's not
written
coming.
report?
Well, the board made the motion to
It doesn't come to
not
board
come to
meetings.
us, but to provide a written. report.
Right, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
a written report.
And that's what I tried to.
This would be very easy.
Template, just work they did.
Right.
Some repairs and then maybe work that they anticipate doing. I guess I just threw something together quickly because I didn't know specifically what the board was really.
I understand one.
Yeah,
I think the board needs to know what are they doing in those 2 weeks?
And I think a lot of that information can be taken from their time sheets.
right, if you had the system, you pick row, column A, C, and F. And then we could see the project and you can, it doesn't, the length of time spent on grading, the length of time, whatever, painting, who knows what, and you could sort it and print it, it'll take you very little time to print that. So that is a benefit of that system, but I agree, there's some learning curve.
Well, I think that's the reason why we wanted.
Yeah, that's why I want to do it in the first place. But, I don't know, automation is tough sometimes, people
definitely-
don't like to overcome, to
Yes,
change things up.
I definitely don't think it's the intention of the board to add more tasks.
Oh,
to this.
So to make it easier.
But there would definitely be a learning curve, like you just said.
Yeah, and I think that, they do it once and then. In fact, you would get this information and say, I thought I could report out more, I'm not really able to, how do we tweak it and make it worthwhile for the report to come to us before the meetings and know what, how much gravel we have left, I don't, whatever it is that you're trying to figure out. Yeah, there's definitely, at some point, I don't know, do other towns do this? This is the whole question, are we ahead of the curve or like behind the curve on this? I have no idea.
I think we're a little ahead of the curve, but I do know that other towns have reached out, and I don't know how many others have reached out to V-Trans to see if there's a similar program. So I think there's probably other towns kind of thinking about.
You
You would think, yeah.
They don't. They don't right now.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't have no.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem crazy, but it's always a problem. Making changes like this, it's hard to get used to, especially when you don't have the equipment. And I thought an employee, I would say the same
And
thing.
everything is an iPad, if they all had an iPad.
And they all were using it anyway, there would be no issue, I promise.
Well, they're real savvy on their iPhones or whatever phone they have on
Yeah.
social media, and could probably do something.
Well, it's really going into a drive, going to an Excel kind of file, and it's a little bit different than horsing around on the phone, but it's not, they didn't, when they looked at it, each of them looked at it and did it with me, and they were like, oh, is that a hole? They didn't act like this was a big draw, but maybe it is.
The only other
Everybody likes
feedback
to
that I
go
got from
quickly.
Colby was that, well, there's not all of the material that we use is on that, and I said, well, then I need that feedback so I can add it.
Right,
So there's gonna have to be an open dialogue through.
of course, yeah.
Period, I'm sure there's equipment that they use that I haven't added on there, so.
So it could be that little block that they
Trevor.
type it in.
Mhm.
No big deal, it shouldn't have, that shouldn't be an excuse. You're not doing it. That's, to me.
Alright, well,
So, wanna try it out and see how it goes, and you can report back to us?
Yeah, I can talk to them
Yeah.
and make sure they're working on both the iPad and the tablet, or the computer. I don't know.
do they know how to get to it on each of those things? I mean, I was showing it on my laptop because I had it open and I could find it quickly.
Mhm.
That we probably need a tutorial to get them on board
Mhm.
on, okay, when you come in and turn on the iPad, now what do I do? Is there a password? I have no idea, because it wasn't alive,
Correct.
so that. If we overcome those hurdles, so it's seen, so they walk in and all they do is go in and type their name, they get their name and do it. I think there's a missing step for sure right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think we were ready to go full speed ahead probably,
Yeah,
without knowing if the technology worked. And right now, we don't know it for sure. I don't even know if the iPads, I
yeah,
don't know anything about the iPad.
by the sound of it, the iPad hasn't been turned on.
Well, I think that maybe, I don't know if they continue to leave it plugged in, you know what I'm saying? They were saying right then they could plug it in, but they did they leave it plugged in? I have no idea.
Yeah. I'll have to talk with them and I can run up there.
You know, I'd be happy to run back up there, you know.
But yeah, I can give an update by the next meeting.
Okay. Anything else you wanna add? Anybody? John, you all set?
He thinks we're crazy.
One thing I brought up in the last meeting, and I hope it's on the agenda, is the infrastructure that we've got to deal with.
This building,
No, with town,
Bridges and roads.
Edgehill Bridge, for instance, Fisher Hill, paving, all that stuff, it's gotta be dealt with, we've gotta sit down and have a conversation about it. One small thing, we're gonna do all this paving in town. There's a stretch of a new bridge, by the farm down. We're not doing anything with it, but on both sides of it, we're paving. And it's only gonna take 2 months, and that other one is gonna be broken right off. And people are gonna say, what the hell are you guys doing?
You did one spot and you got to
It's
stop.
So we should be thinking, well, is there some way that we can do this at the same time? That they're gonna pay.
When is the
Figure how much this is, how much would it
I
cost?
called today.
And let's see if we
And I
can
haven't.
do it.
I thought it was supposed to be like that.
Bridges right up
Yeah,
every day, and it needs to, have attention, and we've got to start talking about it. Because there's a lot of money involved there, we've got to do
Well,
it.
let's,
You know, they're getting that too,
Yeah.
well, 121 was yours.
Route 35 is that town.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna do 35 over, so that would be fairly done. But as I say now, what,
where were you saying?
Oh, talking about the announcement.
Oh, there was terrible.
yes, but you're only doing from,
Dug Road.
Steve Lake,
yeah,
Tracy's.
driveway back down to, Morats, is that?
yeah.
Morat.
That
Yeah.
bridge to
Yeah.
the,
Oh,
From Steve Lake driveway up to the new bridge.
the bridge.
There's sections in there that are,
But the
this
service
is
of
bad,
that.
they are.
That's where, and there was flooding there last summer, that was part of it.
And I did, if somebody measured that up and just see, well, maybe it wouldn't cost too much, the whole thing don't have to be done.
So can we,
It's just a couple of sections, and if that was done at the same time, that would be a lot.
is that something we can get a handle on before the meeting? Well, not at, what's today? I mean, what could we,
First, that's 7 days.
so we'd have to create a bid sheet, a document to say what would it, to figure out what it would cost?
No, you go to your road foreman and ask your road foreman, how much of a stretch do we have down there?
Okay,
And then you can figure out how much it is. You don't have to put it out to bids or anything, maybe it's only $10,000, $20,000, but maybe we should find that and do it.
I thought there was plans for patching in a lot of places.
We haven't done any patching.
No, but I thought there was plans for it, am I right?
They talked about it for the last 2 months, but then the excuse is it's raining. Can't do grading, you can't do patching, you can't.
Well, they've got patching, the most of patching is where we're gonna do the paving.
I know, I got,
So it's a waste to patch it, but then do it with paving, but the paving has put us off. They were supposed to have done it by now. and
I thought they were July 1st.
Yeah, initially they were July, and I called them up the voicemail, and then I also emailed today. It would be really nice to know a rough idea.
So they're
what it will be.
highly unlikely they're pulling into town tomorrow morning.
Very
July
likely.
1st.
But you take the Townsend Road out, there, it's breaking up every day, where the snowmobile cross over there, there's 3 holes, it's been there forever. Then you go out by rights, break it up, they should be cashed and take care of it if we aren't gonna pay it, which we're not going for a while. But there's all sorts of stuff that we should be thinking about, it. Where are we gonna get the money?
That's the big.
Well, that's a big issue, exactly.
I mean, we,
So do you have a list, a list of things?
in my head,
Write them
I mean,
down,
the road fund
give them
should,
to,
the road fund should have this list.
Well, let's ask Colby for a
We
list.
should have a list of stuff. We just spent $30,000 on Pettingill Bridge. The approach to Pettingill Bridge
yeah,
needs to be fixed, or it's gonna.
he
keep
said he
pound-
was gonna fix it.
It's gonna keep pounding that down. The approach to, go up the Capel Road off 121, the same way, it's somewhere down like this. It's gonna ruin that bridge for you now.
Yeah, I hate driving over
It's different, the one out to Grapes, that bridge out to Grapes, look at that. I mean, that's something a road foreman should be taking care of. I can make a list a long time, but it's really not, and me that we should be.
So who's gonna communicate this to Colby? This is what we need.
I mean, you can't, he's got grants and stuff he's working on, you just can't concentrate on all that stuff. You've got to maybe get off it and do something else. There's a pothole up by Kenyon's up there, it's been there for 3 weeks, and I brought it up, and it's nothing, it's that deep.
I fell into one the other
And
day.
holy.
They haven't
But
done
I've done the thing like that.
What are they doing instead?
About my head side.
Mowing and
They
grading.
graded both sides of the road.
They're doing mowing and grading right now. I keep following, I keep running into Dave's.
Sorry, what are they doing besides grading, what?
Mowing,
Mowing.
lot of mowing.
Yeah, one person does mowing, what are the other three doing?
I think,
They were working on the culverts on Fisher Hill. Some various trees that came down.
yeah, the tree that came out down there, though, all the logs are right there. They didn't take them anywhere. Sorry, but they didn't. I don't know if that takes too much time. So let's task Colby with coming up with a list. You'll get after it.
Stuff, should be thought about as you're going along. It's just,
Well, but I drive these roads differently every day.
Yeah.
Maybe different back road to get home or something, so I'm constantly checking on, but. I don't know. if it is-
Certainly could go make a list.
He may have a list, but it may just all be in his brain and not.
no, he's not mature enough to know that we're gonna pay. That's it, okay, we're just gonna pay those spots, that's it. And you can think, well, why would you leave 100-foot section down there that's terrible? And all the rest is just perfect. Maybe we gotta get that fixed.
Where did that, with that, I mean, I'm not gonna read
Do
that.
they have money to fix that?
No, but I mean, we should probably come up with it. I think
That's why I was like, you kind of voted on the sections repaid.
I thought we did agree to that, in all fairness.
And I
Yeah,
thought,
money that we have.
I think it was the worst cost, but,
That was,
Well, we were doing stuff in town here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
School Street and Pleasant
Pleasant
Street
Street.
after the church. But the whole village needs paving.
just start over New Hampshire and make you feel better.
Yeah, but it may mean that you take, we take those Pleasant Street, School Street up here and apply it down there instead. It would make more sense, I mean, why fix 2 little spots over here and the rest of the village
I thought the concern was the school.
is dirt.
Well, Pleasant Street's in really bad shape.
Yeah, no, I drive that.
Pleasant Street needs to be all done too.
Everything needs to be done, but I mean, that's,
We're
I mean, we're in tough
You're
shape.
gonna have Mary Feder complaining about the noise, the stink.
I'll just remind everybody that this meeting is public and it's recorded. So I don't wanna. Go down a rabbit hole.
Oh, no, that's what happened when we did the school, she was furious.
Well,
I
Well, a
just,
lot of people walk the streets right here in the village.
I'm surprised we haven't had more complaints. But I just keep harping on it, we've got to do something with our infrastructure.
so we have, if we put it on the agenda, that what would be, I mean, obviously this is a budget issue for next year. So we have to think about areas of concern and then how to fund them, and then we go.
That, a lot of that work can be done outside the meeting.
Right,
I've been with Morgan, quite a few times to see if we can find some funding for this,
Right,
which
right.
we've been working on. But I mean, the rest of us could do that too. And still work on the outside, or just like you're doing with this other stuff.
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it's can't be,
I think there needs to be just like a running list of projects that need.
I mean, I came in with a couple today, I had a couple,
Yeah.
no big deal, this, but
Exactly.
if you want, I mean, I'll go drive around and give my opinion on whole potholes. I think it's too narrow up on, the Middletown Road, part of it's basically turns into a one-way street, just after the Rogers, that.
Yeah.
They get sort of,
you know, Petfield Bridge was $30,000, we didn't have the money for it, we hacked on it. To Mark Pickford and they got it for us, and
yeah,
that's what you gotta do,
yeah, yeah.
but
Have to build those relationships.
that's.
Covers a lot.
The way more.
Do you have any more?
John's on the roll.
We're getting scolded. No, I bring my complaints in, I bring my, I think I do, I try not to.
So if you want,
Maybe I should complain
it
more.
makes sense if you have just a hand list, give it to Morgan, she'll type it up and we'll present it to Colby.
Happy to do my part.
I think we should focus on some of the bigger issues and not like the little tiny potholes. That's gonna make.
That's right, yeah.
But
It's the big issues, that he should know enough to do these small ones. I mean, he should be able to be doing those.
So is that a personnel discussion with him? I mean, how do we make this into an action?
We still have, Steve and I still haven't met with the guys. See how things are going, but that's probably some of the things that we can present.
Definitely.
This week, I'm free to, last couple of weeks I haven't been, but. If you have time. Well, you're working in town,
like, yeah, not getting anything done today, that's okay.
I know. Any public comment? If not, our next meeting's Monday, July 7th at 6 p.m. here at the town hall. Need a motion to adjourn, but before that, thank you all for spending some time today to go over some serious issues. And I thank you. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
need a second? Okay.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?